911, what are you reporting?
Jesus Christ, you better...
Sir?
See ya!
Hello?
Get somebody out here.
What's going on now, sir?
That son of a bitch is about 6'9", I don't know.
Do you see him now, sir?
Yes, I'm looking right at him.
Uh-oh.
In for Nightville.
This is Boston Billy. You're listening to Sasquatch Chronicles. Let's go, baby.
Welcome to the show, everyone. Thanks for being here tonight. Got a great show planned for you. We're going to be chatting with Nate. And currently, Nate resides in Colorado. And he's on this job site. It's a kind of a large construction site. I'll let him explain it. I think they're building log cabins out there in the middle of nowhere. And about a year ago, he started coming across all this weird footprints, tree breaks, started hearing weird sounds out in the woods, and didn't really know what it was, and until he eventually ran into the creature. I'll let Nate go into that. We're also going to be chatting with David, and David is originally from Louisiana. He went up to North Dakota to work in the oil fields, make some money up there, and during their off time, they would hunt this particular area, and David had a run-in with one of these creatures. He shot it, and I asked him if he would come on and kind of share what happened. If you've had an encounter and you'd like to be on the show, shoot me an email. My email address is wes@sasquatchchronicles.com. Let's jump into it tonight. I want to welcome Nate to the show. Nate, thanks for coming on.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing well, Nate. I'm doing well. Thank you so much for asking. And I know you're out there in Colorado. Are you on a construction site? Are you guys building log cabins, or what is it you guys are kind of doing out there?
So I'm a construction guy. I'm a painter for a construction company. And I don't want to give a lot of this away too much because my boss is kind of like acquiring a lot of land in the area, and he has interest in the area where these Sasquatch are. And I don't think he's really all about it. But we're building a huge log cabin, and then there's a town that's like 20 miles away, and we're sort of redoing the town. So I'm the painter for all those operations, a lead painter. I'm kind of like a little manager, boss guy, but yeah, I'm a painter.
Yeah, and from what I understand from your email, you guys are actually living kind of out in the middle of nowhere while he's doing all this building.
It's kind of on a rotational thing. A lot of people can't hang too long there because we are out in the middle of nowhere. We have to go an hour to civilization, like to get basic groceries. Like the town that we go to is 20 miles away, but it doesn't have all you need. You have to go at least 60 miles in any direction to get anything that you need to actually survive on, So it's difficult for people to make it here. But for me, I mean, I've spent a lot of time in Alaska and out west and done a lot of roughing it type things that other people don't do. And for me, it's pretty cool. I like the lifestyle, and I like being out in nature, and because that's where you find all the funny, crazy, cool stuff,
Well, let me ask you, prior to this, what did you think about the whole subject of Sasquatch?
I wasn't really interested in it, to be honest. I mean, I've seen a few little shows, Sci-Fi Channel or History or whatever, and it was mildly interesting, but it seemed like a bunch of people chasing something that wasn't there to me, and I just wasn't convinced by any of it, and I just had no experience with it.
Yeah, I think a lot of people feel that way. But so tell me, I know this is a long sequence of events leading up to this whole sighting, but we're going back to 2021. You're in Colorado. If you would walk me through the sequence of events and then eventually seeing the creature.
So I got a job in Colorado. I was in Illinois at the time. I had never lived in Colorado. I've traveled all around the West. I'm a nature guy, and I had lived in Alaska off and on for 8 years, and I was a guide up there and stuff like that, hiking guide. And so I figured, well, it's cool. I can go live in Colorado. So I got a nice place to live up there, you know, a free place with my job and all that. And I got to the spot, and it's there's a 2-lane highway going through this area. It's about 100 miles from the nearest big populated town. You have to go through a canyon to get there. And it's just rugged mountain country. There's national forest to the west of where I was living, right next to the 2-lane highway. And to the east is 12,000 foot peaks and endless forest. There's like 3.2 million acres of forest there. So we have our little island of civilization right there. There's about, I guess there was about 20 of us living in that place, and it was kind of relaxed. You know, the guys would grill out every night, and we were kind of at one with where we were at. And I have a pup, and she needs to walk a lot. She's a half pit, half lab, high energy. So most of my free time is spent walking her and trying to find good places for her to run. And so we have this little like four-wheeler trail just on the east side of the highway there. So I got to walk across the highway and then hit that trail. I figured that was a good spot to start walking her because it goes all the way down miles and miles, probably like 5 miles down the side of the highway. But there's like a little barbed wire fence there and trees that line the fence, but it kind of dips down off the highway, just runs parallel to the highway. I was like, well, that looks like a perfect place to walk her in the morning. And I had a habit of waking up early in the morning before daylight. It was about 4:30. And this is the first night, mind you, first morning that I walked her. And I got about, what was it? Oh, shoot, maybe not even 15 steps down this little trail. And it's dark. There's nothing going on. I got my headlamp on. Somewhat peaceful, quiet. And then all of a sudden, there's an explosion in the trees to the right of the trail there next to the barbed wire fence. And it screamed bloody murder. It was just a terrible sound. It sounded like a woman just getting annihilated, fearing for her life, you know, and then it fell backwards through the trees. And I got my lamp in that direction, but my head was kind of tilted down. I wasn't expecting this. And I was like, what the heck was that, you know? And I kept thinking animals. I've been around a lot of different kinds of animals, moose and all that. We have moose in the area. But nothing was adding up because of the vocalization that it made. I was like, oh, man, it sounds like, I was like, maybe it was an owl, you know, maybe it was a really, really big owl, because as it fell back, it seemed like it had a span of like 8 feet wide. And I just heard these limbs crashing and everything. I didn't hear no, you know, wings fluttering or nothing like that, but I couldn't make sense of it. I was like, what is this, you know? And so the next morning, I decided to walk the other direction. I was like, whatever that was, I don't want any part of it. I knew it wasn't a bear. I knew it wasn't a moose, knew it wasn't an elk or anything like that. But whatever it was watching me come down the trail. And I guess I got close enough to it where it saw my face and it just freaked out, you know, and it just went back. But anyway, the next morning I walked the other direction. And the other option is that you head toward the national forest. You cross this little river. And the river runs parallel to the highway, too. It comes out of these huge peaks and back into this national forest. It's like almost impenetrable. I've been back there, and I don't want any part of it. It's not made for humans to be back there. It's very difficult to get back there. But anyway, this river flows from there, and it seems like all the animals use that riverway as a way to cross over to the state forest and all that. So